Welcome to the Simple Switch podcast, where you'll join me, Rachel, the founder of Simple Switch, to talk about conscious consumerism and positive impact purchasing. Spending our money in a way that helps our planet and the people on it can be complicated and frustrating, and we're passionate about bringing ease to your journey. Join us as we demystify big ideas about conscious consumerism and hear from amazing business owners using their work for positive change. Thanks for being here, and enjoy the show. Hello, Simple Switch community. I am extra excited about today's episode. It is a wonderful chat with Cara Strauss, the founder of SutiSana in El Alto, Bolivia. This episode means a ton to me because just months after recording, we were able to go and visit Cara and her team, the incredible makers in El Alto, get to know their culture, learn more about the Aymara people, learn more about the tragedy in the red light district, and the amazing and dignifying work that SutiSana is doing with these women to empower through employment. I am so passionate about this model and the way that it is able to bring people just into better livelihoods. So we are so excited. I hope that you will go check out SutiSana on Simple Switch, buy some of their products, and support their amazing work. Here is my chat with Cara. Hi, Cara. Thanks so much for talking to me today.
You're welcome, Rachel. It's great to talk to you.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Who are you? For those who don't know, where is SutiSana located? Where does it have its impact? Those kind of things.
So my name is Cara, and I am the founder of a company called SutiSana. We're located in Bolivia, in El Alto, which is the slum city of the capital city, La Paz. And we work with women who have come out of prostitution and trafficking situations, gender violence, and different kinds of sexual exploitation. And these artisans make bags, they make accessories, different kinds of clothing, and we make them both to sell online and by special order.
That's awesome. I personally have a few SutiSana items, and people have loved them. So yeah, big fan of what you guys do product-wise, but obviously your impact is incredible. SutiSana is a really cool partner for me because I actually heard about them through one of my best childhood friends who currently works there. So it's a really fun personal connection, and we're hoping to be able to visit early 2020. So yes, personally, very excited about SutiSana. Can you tell us, being the founder, a little bit about how it got started?
Sure. Though I am specifically the founder of SutiSana, I wasn't really meant to be. I came down here to work with an organization called Word Made Flesh, Bolivia. And Word Made Flesh had already been working with women in prostitution and in sexual exploited situations for 5 years when I got here. And at the time, they already had a restoration program going on, and they were already visiting the women in the red light districts on a regular basis, at least twice a week. And it was from that the idea for SutiSana came to be. I was doing a visit with some of the other team members, and one woman who I'd never met before, we're going to call her Dora, said, "When are you going to give me a job?" And I just kind of sat there stunned. It was like my whole worldview kind of shifted in that moment. I'd already had a deep heart of compassion for them. But I'm so sorry, Rachel.
Don't worry about it. I know you're in the workshop. It's good. You're where you work. It's great.
But at that moment, I realized that there had to be something more structured, something that fit into the economic structure of the country, that allowed them something more than simply good intentions. Yeah. And so there was actually a team of us that worked towards the idea of what SutiSana could be, this idea of offering women who are coming out of prostitution or trafficking situations dignified employment in the structure of a loving and caring community, but also with the idea that this is actually a business that is trying to be profitable, and we want these women to learn good work ethic, that it wasn't just going to be a restoration program, but it was going to be a place where they could really be a part of a thriving business.
That's awesome. Man, I have such a heart for that. Listeners who have heard our episodes before know I have such a heart for that because I totally get on the soapbox, but I just love the idea specifically of dignified employment. And, you know, I think it was my first grade teacher who first said to me the whole teach a man to fish versus give a man to fish. And what, you know, we feel personally more dignified when people empower us to do things, and it is so important and so necessary that you guys are there doing that. I love your strategy and your attitude.
Thanks. Sometimes I absolutely respect all of the loan programs that are out there, but I think sometimes people believe that a small business loan is the only way that you can go. And some
Mm,
of these women aren't part of communities where it would make it possible to have the support that a small business loan implies. And so sometimes it's better to give someone a job with structure and Social Security and medical insurance rather than encouraging and empowering them to start their own business where they might end up failing because they don't necessarily have the support they need.
totally, man. I think that, yeah, that's really cool insight. I'm thinking about it, and yeah, like you said, I think microloans can be really important, and the organizations that do them, like we work with Kiva a lot, often are giving loans to people in situations where they hopefully can succeed and trying to help with that. But I mean, we hear we hear here in the USA that we want to, you know, create jobs and make there be jobs. And so why would we not be creating those same strategies instead of, you know, allowing people to kind of just fight for that on their own or create that on their own? Yeah, that's a very cool point. Um, what is a favorite story for you from the impact side? So for these women that you're working with, something that really resonated with you.
I think one of my favorite stories is our friend, who I'm going to call Fiona. She she is from a family that is involved in kind of a multi-generational prostitution. So her
Mm,
sister was involved in prostitution, and as well as her niece and nephew, and her mom kind of dabbled in it a little bit. And so this is a family that was steeped in sexual violence from the very beginning.
wow.
She ended up coming to us and asking us for a job after when she got pregnant with her fifth child.
Mm,
And she left the red light district and was selling soup in the bus station for a very, very meager salary, but carrying these huge vats of soup from one area of the bus station to another. She was quite worried that she might lose her child. And she was starting to bleed a little bit and just wanted a safer situation for her and her child. And a friend mentioned that we were offering jobs to women in her situation. And so she came and just asked for a job. And it was an unusual situation for us because usually we only offer jobs to women who have already been involved in the rehabilitation program for a while. But in this case, we recognized her need. She was already 5 months pregnant, and we invited her in, and she very quickly became one of our best sewers. Um,
cool.
Fiona was involved a couple years when her sister actually died in on the streets, and her niece and nephew and several other of her sister's children were suddenly left without any parents.
Wow.
Unfortunately, her niece and nephew also entered prostitution on the street, and that's what I love about being able to work um, together hand in hand with Word Made Flesh, which is the ones that run both our children's program and our women's program. And so our women's program and our children's program, we're able to come alongside and work with these kids along a very, very long journey to try to get them to a more healthy place and a place where they didn't feel like they had to do that to support themselves.
Yeah.
um, I think my favorite thing about what I do is that um, the job is important, the dignified employment is absolutely necessary, but I don't think you can address this issue unless you address it holistically.
Yeah.
And every part of the program that we work on physical health and emotional health and spiritual health, and make sure that economically is not the only thing that we address, but every area of their lives and healing and walk alongside them through that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's such a relational situation for you guys, and that is amazing. I mean, you can hear your love for these women who you've created these relationships with, and their stories, and that's so great. It's awesome.
They're definitely my friends for life.
Yeah, that's so cool. Man, I can't wait to meet them. I'm just getting really excited because we are planning on coming. I'm just like, oh,
Hooray!
so cool. Shake their hand, tell them thank you
Mm.
for. Personally, I use y'all's. It's kind of like a DOP kit. I don't know what you guys call it on the site,
Oh yeah.
but Yeah, the for, makeup and toiletries, and I travel a lot, so I carry that thing around.
Oh, that is wonderful. We originally made that for men, and I am so glad it's unisex.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's great. Um, how about from the customer side? I think I'm always pleasantly surprised by the way that either customers are touched by the story of the company or sometimes totally unrelated and unintentional things happen.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think what's interesting about SutiSana is that we sell almost as much in Bolivia as we do in the States. We sell about
Oh, really?
40% of our products here in Bolivia. And
Cool. I love
we,
that. I didn't know that.
yeah, we sell a lot at fairs here, and we have a lot of we have an expat customer base, but we also have a Bolivian customer base as well. And
Yeah, great.
one of my favorite instances of how we were able to provide a service locally was that Operation Christmas Child, which is a organization that sends shoe boxes full of gifts to children in countries that might not receive something nice for Christmas or for another holiday. They usually are packed up in the United States and Canada and other countries and sent overseas. But in Bolivia's case, they are not allowed to import those boxes, so they had to make those boxes in country, and we were able to create 30,000 T-shirts for 30,000 of these shoe boxes that were being created in country, and send them to 30,000 Bolivian kids who had the opportunity um, to not only get this gift, but to also hear a message of hope from the volunteers of Operation Christmas Child.
Wow. That's so cool.
We love working with other organizations that are also doing amazing things around the world and being able to have a double impact in that sense.
For sure. That's one of my favorite parts of what we get to do is I think that that collaboration is invaluable. I mean, if
Absolutely.
we are all running toward the same goal, there's no reason we shouldn't be helping each other. I love
Mm,
even sometimes that looks like what you're talking about, like some really, I don't know, obvious partnerships. Other times it can look like logistical advice where I will get to be the in between from someone from Uganda who's learned, how to make the international shipping work or things like that, and get to plug them in with another entrepreneur who's like struggling with that same issue. And
hmm.
it's really cool seeing those things, like the collaboration that you guys had being the building block of making this impact on a really grand scale. Love that.
Thanks, Rachel.
So cool. I am very excited to hear that you guys are able to sell such a high percentage in Bolivia. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an unusual situation for most businesses like ours, but
Yeah.
I think the wonderful thing is we use local materials, so a lot of people here are really attracted to them. The unfortunate part is that our materials are so durable that often I see purses that we made 10 years ago that are still hanging around, which
That
means they
sounds
never
like
have to
a
buy a new purse.
Totally. I mean, that sounds like a great thing. Customers keep that in mind. These things will last forever. Yeah, the first time Madison, she's my friend who introduced me to you, Cara, um, the first time she visited Bolivia and spent her time there, she brought me back something I use now as my electronics case. And that's another thing that probably for the last 4 or so years, I've been taking with me traveling, and it sits in my room all the time. And you're right, it is so durable
Yeah.
and really beautiful. I mean, I love there's a very clear Bolivian flair, to what you guys are making because it is made out of those. How is that made? Do you know a lot about the production process of the fabric?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that we do. Now, we do a lot of leather products that are simply leather, and I really love that because leather is a universal language,
Yeah.
and we use some beautiful local distressed leather. But the cloth that we use locally is called owayu, and owayu in the local language Aymara is a cloth that women here use, especially indigenous women, to carry anything of value, and they usually carry it on their backs. So they'll use an awayu to carry their kids or their vegetables and fruit home from market. So it has a lot of connotations of whatever's in here is what brings life, and it's something of value.
How
So
incredible is
yeah,
that story and the imagery? Oh,
we love it. Our OYU is made right down the street in a factory that uses organic wool. And so all of our OYU is 100% wool, and we do the designs ourselves. And so we always have new designs every season, which is great. But like you said, it still has a very Bolivian flair. So
definitely.
people are more subtle and like to go with the leather, or more ethnic and like to go with a little more international flair. We want to make sure we're hitting all of our market.
That's so cool. I'm always so impressed with that whole process because I can be back here running the shop, doing the online, getting the business done, but the design process is something I am so thankful for because I like the way that it looks and the aesthetic, but it's something I'm totally lost in. So, way to go striking that balance, I think, between, maybe things that are, I don't like to use the word trendy, but, that are maybe in demand for consumers and then also like marrying that so beautifully with the local traditions. Love it. Okay, we use the phrase positive impact purchasing to kind of cover because we have so many different types of impact from environmental to the
Mm.
type of thing that you guys are doing. What do you feel like positive impact purchasing means to you, and how do you feel like your business fits into that?
I think the most obvious application of that is that every product that is purchased allows for abundant life and freedom for women who were formerly trapped in sexual exploitation. But our idea is that every woman that works here is also impacting her family and breaking cycles of violence and sexual
Totally.
exploitation in their lives. So our ultimate goal is to change society, to make sure that in the future, society is not one that accepts or condones in any way gender violence, that
Mm.
we can have a place that is safe for kids, especially girls, and a place where they continue to learn and grow and impact the world in with all their gifts. um, that would be the most obvious. But we also really try hard to impact the environment positively by being as organic or low impact as possible, and upcycling as many scraps as we can.
Cool.
It's hard because we still use leather, and some people, especially vegans, would prefer us to use vegan leather. But we do feel like we're working towards every kind of impact that we can at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. We just recently got feedback. This is another thing that it's attention for sure, but I'm really thankful for. Um, on one of our just Facebook ads, something from a stranger asking why we're able to use animal products and why we feel good about that. And I
Mm.
think it's very cool for us to be able to be really clear about the impact that our companies are making, and then also be clear about this is a leather product, and so that people can also avoid that if that's what they're looking to do. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
but I know that
And
it like really serves the impact that you guys are making to be using those materials right now. And I trust like what you're saying, that you're moving in the best way you can towards those things, and that's a amazing journey, and one that takes time.
yeah, we understand people who just would never use a leather product, and I think I totally respect someone who makes that decision. But we also understand that the leather industry in Bolivia is very different than it would be in the States. You know, all of our
Absolutely.
cattle are free range,
Yeah,
and as much as the leather as we can is vegetable tanned. So we're really working hard to avoid those harsh chemicals and make sure that the process of production is at least as clean as possible.
that's cool. You're one of I think you're maybe the fourth partner who's explained that to me, because
Hmm.
I have had that question, mostly for our customers who ask. And yeah, my our partner in Haiti, Second Story Goods, was talking to me about how it's just very traditional for them to use the whole animal. So if
Mm.
they're using that, for a food source, and then they are gonna like do the leather thing, and so it is a lot less than maybe what we would see, maybe some like factory farming for those kind of materials in
Hmm.
other places. So it's cool to hear, um, especially about the vegetable tanning. I've never heard that before. Um, Another value for us is ease without apathy. And the reason that I chose this as one of our values is because I hear people talk all the time about burning out on this type of thing. They'll hear there's so much plastic in the ocean, and they're like, that's an insurmountable problem. So what can I do? So we really focus on, yeah, allowing people to engage with these amazing causes and impact without having to work so hard or have so much emotional labor behind it, just trying to find that good balance. How do you feel like SutiSana makes it easy or winsome for people to use their purchasing power for good? And how do you engage people with those stories behind your products?
Well, one of the things we want to make sure to do is create products that people can actually use and in a sense need. We don't want to just create a product that is another pity buy that people would buy because they like our cause, but they don't really like our product. We want to
Absolutely.
create something that is better than anything out there, including stuff that's made in China, and so that when they purchase from us, they're purchasing something that they need anyway. Um,
Totally.
I think a great example of this is next season we're coming out with a lovely batch of wallets and new leather totes that I would just put up against any of our competitors. You know, whether they're mass produced and sold in the big retail stores or any of the smaller people who do similar things to what we do. I use all of our products, and I wouldn't want to make a product that I don't think is incredibly useful for the wider audience.
That's
So
such a great.
hopefully the ease is because it's not hard to make an internet purchase nowadays,
Totally.
and the lack of apathy would come from actually loving and enjoying the product that you get.
Yeah, that's so great. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like that's the way that the industry is moving, and it's so encouraging
Mm,
for me because I think some people look at Simple Switch or other companies, like SutiSana, and they have this assumption in their mind that it's going to be kind of kitschy products, things like you said, pity buys, maybe um, cute things and things that you maybe would want, but like a Christmas ornament, which I actually was just looking at y'all's Christmas ornaments and I'm going to buy one. So not Christmas ornaments, but having those practical products alongside of it, like, I mean, we sell toilet paper that makes impact, and having those things that
mm.
are so practical. And like I said, I use the kit from y'all all the time. But it's cool to see the industry moving in that direction, and it, like you said, it's really changing society, changing capitalism. Um, to yeah, I give talks about that, how we can use capitalism to connect with people and to create impact as opposed to having it be something that's numbing us out or just being wasteful. So love to hear that you guys are on board with that. I'm not surprised at all. This one sometimes brings out some funny stories. Another brand value for us is to iterate often. So the reason we chose this is because we want to make sure that we are not an echo chamber. If we're getting feedback from people, we want to be able to change in order to make the most positive impact that we can. Um, we know that it's a crazy shifting industry. Is there a time since founding that you have had to shift or pivot, and how did it affect Sutisana?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely have more stories of failure right now than stories of success, but that's amazing because we get to learn from every little thing.
Absolutely.
For example, probably our biggest fail in all of our products were in the past has been just getting bad zippers, and so we finally had
Mm,
to bite the bullet and use YKK zippers, which I believe are the only fair trade certified zippers in the world, and they also make most of the zippers in the world. They're an incredibly durable, perfect zipper, but it just took us a long time to get a hold of them. So it it's good for me to realize that we're always improving, and every little thing we do, every change we make is towards a slightly better product. Um, but we've also had to pivot away from entire product lines. In the past, we worked a lot with clothes for a while, and because of where we are and the materials that are available for us, it just wasn't a good decision. It was really
totally.
hard to get the clothes that were in fashion out on time,
Mm,
and it was hard to get our prices down to because nowhere in Bolivia are clothing cloths made, and so
yeah.
they were still imported, and we didn't really like the fact that we weren't using local materials in those. So in the end, we just decided that unless it was a specific order, we weren't going to make clothes for our own brand.
Yeah.
And I think we'll just continue to make those kind of decisions in the future. We've noticed that even though some people love the ethnic Awayu look, the local Bolivian cloth, it actually sells a lot more in Bolivia. So we are going to be moving a little bit more towards leather and a little less towards the cloth in the States. And I think we'll just continue to weigh things as they come.
Definitely. I think that I just hear so much wisdom in what you just said, and you guys being able to say no to things that aren't serving you anymore. What's the name of the zipper?
The zipper is a YKK. They're made in Japan.
Cool. That's just a good thing for me to know about fair trade zippers because I do
Mhm.
get those kind of questions sometimes from people who are starting up and trying to figure things out. So awesome. And I mean, I love the zipper on my kit, so I'm assuming that's what it is. um, how about why do you sell a simple switch? Why do you choose to sell with us? What do you like about it?
Well, a simple switch really, I mean, you guys really align with all of our values. I believe we stand for the same things. We're working towards the same vision, and we really want the same things for people and for our world. And it's wonderful to have that kind of deeper understanding. And then just logistically, you guys are amazing to work with from the very beginning. You've made it easy for us and made it known that you're working for us and not just for yourselves. And knowing that you have our woman in your heart as well, I think just um, brings a lot of trust to the table. And so it's been great working with you guys. You're awesome,
Oh, that
Rachel.
seriously, I'm like tearing up a little bit because I remember our first call and you guys were one of our really early partners. It's fun because a lot of the people I've done on the podcast so far started with us when we were really, really small, and we're still
Mm.
pretty small. But I know that you had been discouraged by some other partnerships, and I hear our partners complain all the time about companies that are just kind of taking advantage of them, and it is so 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 encouraging to me that you don't feel like that's been the case with us. I certainly wouldn't want it to, but yeah, that's great. Um, how about your personal favorite product that you sell? Do you have a favorite? You mentioned a couple that you use, but why do you love it?
That's so hard because I think I love anything that we come out with that's new and different,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the next thing is always my favorite product.
totally.
I kind of have a favorite of every single type of bag that we do. For example, my daily bag that I love is our classic, which is just a really simple zippered crossbody or shoulder bag.
Oh, cool.
And it's the perfect mom bag. I need a bigger bag because I have two kids and I just need to keep all those extras in there. So
Totally.
it's a really good medium sized bag that I can use every day. But I love our wallet. Again, our big fat chunky wallet that's coming out next season that has like 9 credit card slots, and
Oh, cool.
it's one area that I haven't been able to be minimalist at all, and so I love a big wallet.
Totally.
Um, and but I think one of my favorite products, it's not one of our best sellers, but it's so specialized, it's perfect for me. It's called our an expedition travel case.
Hmm.
And it basically is the perfect thing for any traveler because it's a really simple case that has
Oh,
slots for
yeah.
everything you need, your passport, your credit cards, your headphones, your phone, your Kindle or your iPad. And it's really kind of the one thing you could grab and have everything at your disposal if you're in a plane or on a road trip. And I love it so much. I think it's very specialized for travelers, so it's not
Yeah.
necessarily our biggest seller in that respect, but it's definitely my favorite.
I have coveted that travel case for sure. I know
Well,
exactly the one you're talking about because I mean, I just went to my 26th country. So, like, stuff like that is very me. But,
you should definitely wait till next season because we're coming out with a beautiful new distressed leather color in that
ooh,
particular
cool.
product. So,
Awesome. Yeah, great. Um, okay, this is my favorite and I think the most important question for the podcast. How can Simple Switch listeners support you? What are you working on right now? What else should they know?
hmm I mean, I think in in the wider sense of what our anti-trafficking industry is doing, um, the best thing is to continue to be informed and to continue to invest in various ways in the different kind of movements that are happening with anti-trafficking and anti-gender violence and
Mm,
pro-education for girls and women. Um, any way that they can invest in locally or in the industries that are working with those, I think every little bit helps
totally.
towards the kind of world that we want to live in. Right now, as a business, we are working towards our next collection, and we do that twice a year. But I think on a bigger scale in Bolivia, we're working um, towards better laws. We're working towards a bigger understanding of what some of these issues look like on the local level, and I think just keeping us in your thoughts and always buying products. But that's like you said, that's the ease.
That should be unsaid.
That's the
Yeah.
really easy thing.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely go buy their products, but do all the rest of the things too. Yeah.
yeah, I think in general, just maybe against speaking up against the things that aren't contributing
Mm,
towards equality and towards peace and towards a better future for our women.
absolutely. This episode won't come out this week, but probably in the new year. But when I send it out, I would love if you have any resources that you're like, this is a really great, because I love that that's your call to action. I'm always so impressed with my partners because pretty much everyone is like, yes, buy our products, but here's something that I care deeply about, and that is going to further the mission. So if you have any resources that you're like, you know what, this has really been helpful to me in the learning and the keeping up to date, like you said, please send those along to me, and I will include them when we release the episode.
Will do.
Ah, awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to add? That's all the
Rachel,
questions.
you're absolutely amazing, and we have so enjoyed working for you. And I wish that Madison was here right now, so she
Oh,
could
yes,
say hi, as being, in a sense, the origin of all this
I
partnership.
know. It's amazing. It is just so fun because normally I find partners through, the internet or through business or through all this research. And Madison, was such a personal connection. So it
Uh,
warms my heart to get to chat with you.
yeah, I am so excited to meet you face to face in January. So I really, really hope we can make that a fun visit.
Thanks so much for joining me today. If you like this episode, you can support us by leaving a great review, sharing with your friends, and subscribing. Thanks for caring about our planet and the people on it. We'll see you again soon.